David Godfrey, and I'm Executive Director of the Sea Turtle Conservancy. We're a nonprofit marine turtle research and conservation organization, actually the oldest such organization in the world. We were founded in 1959 by a University of Florida professor by the name of Archie Carr. This year, following the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, created a situation where lots of different organizations really needed to work together and pool resources to try to save these animals. And we were contacted by the National Wildlife Federation, and basically they offered to try to support some of our work to help sea turtles following the spill. They're a large organization with a large national membership and resources, and we're in Florida with great contacts and expertise dealing with sea turtles. So they realized that hey, we can support this organization that's on the spot. They've got great expertise dealing with these animals in Florida. And so they wanted to financially support our efforts in the kind of work we were doing to help sea turtles and their nests that were threatened by the oil spill. In the days following the spill and when it became clear that this was not going to be capped anytime soon, we knew that oil was just spilling, gushing into the Gulf and spreading around to very important regions of the Gulf of Mexico, right, as you said, when sea turtles are nesting. So our organization, as well as state and federal agencies responsible for protecting marine turtles, began to look at the potential threats here, especially to these nesting turtles and their hatchlings. And it became clear that in a certain region of the Gulf, in particular the panhandle of Florida and a little bit into Alabama, where there's a considerable amount of nesting, that when the hatchlings emerge from those beaches, they would be swimming into an environment and looking for, typically they would emerge from their nest, swim out into the Gulf, and look for floating mats of vegetation, sargassum weed. Well, that's exactly the region where the oil was accumulating. So it became clear that they would really be swimming to their doom. There was so much oil out there and no way to clean it up, rapidly. It's certainly not by the time that these hatchlings began to emerge. So there began to be a discussion about what the alternatives were, and we were brought into that discussion. Experts with the state and federal agencies sought our input, as well as others, about a plan to perhaps, do something unprecedented, which is to relocate the nest from that section of the coastline where there was no alternative but for the hatchlings to swim through the oil. And we endorsed and supported a very unique plan to relocate the eggs from those beaches to essentially a safe hatchery or an incubation center on the east coast of Florida, where they could then be released into the Atlantic and away from the spill. So we supported that plan and the development of it, and then when the process began, we provided direct biological, physical support for the preparation for that massive relocation effort, and then directly participated in the relocation. If you think about it, you've got hundreds of nests, tens of thousands of eggs, and you need to put them in containers, safe containers. They need to be, temperature controlled, moisture controlled. Well, it took a great undertaking to prepare all these specially designed coolers to house all those eggs, and then little devices that you could place the coolers in so that they wouldn't rock and vibrate unnecessarily as they're being transported. So we helped construct, hundreds of these specially designed boxes and carrying devices up in the Panhandle at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service office, and then we provided staff support to help excavate those nests and get them transported over to the East Coast. And one of the things you look for when in moving nests like this, and one of the things we're most concerned about was the hatching success rate. Did it at least close to mimic the natural level? Were we able to produce as many hatchlings as would have been produced on the natural beach? And I know they're still analyzing that data, but it looks like the answer is yes. It was very close to the natural incubation success rate and emergent success rate that we would have seen had we not moved the nest at all. So the ultimate question then is releasing these 13,000 or so hatchlings into the Atlantic as opposed to in the Gulf of Mexico, what did that do to the population? Was it harmful? Are they going to grow up and return and nest in the Gulf of Mexico or return to the East Coast? We don't know the answer to that. All we know is that those hatchlings that were saved and released in the Atlantic during the early, the first half of the nesting season, those hatchlings, by all accounts, would have met their doom if they had been allowed to swim into the Gulf of Mexico. So it was the right thing to do to move them, to at least give them a chance at survival. I personally think that they will probably grow up and return to the Gulf of Mexico, where they were deposited, where their natal beach.
There they go. There's some